Every single night, without exception, you enter a state where your body shuts down. Your imagination takes full control, and you have absolutely no control over what happens next. And here's what should stop you cold. 3,000 years before any scientist ever studied a single brainwave, the Bible was already describing this exact mechanism, and it called it something far more powerful than biology. It called it a doorway. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you are stepping into something the world is only beginning to understand, and heaven has known about since the beginning of time. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will change the way you think about every single dream you've ever had. If you believe there is more happening in the unseen than science alone can explain, I want you to do something right now before we go any further. Subscribe to this channel, not because I'm asking for a favor, but because there is someone in your circle right now wrestling with a dream. They don't understand, afraid to tell anyone, and this message might be the very thing God uses to bring them clarity. Every subscribe helps this truth reach one more soul searching in the dark. Let's start with what science actually discovered, because it matters. In the 1950s, researchers hooked electrodes to sleeping volunteers expecting to find nothing but stillness. Instead, they found something shocking. During certain stages of sleep, the brain lit up almost as active as it is while wide awake. Eyes darted rapidly beneath closed lids. And when researchers woke people up in that exact moment, almost every single one said the same thing. I was in the middle of an incredibly vivid dream. Modern science named this REM sleep. But long before it had a name, Scripture had already been describing it in detail. Job chapter 33 says that God speaks in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, while they slumber on their beds. Notice that phrase, deep sleep falls upon men. That is not poetic decoration. That is an accurate description of a biological state written thousands of years before anyone owned a brain scanner. Here's what should stop you in your tracks. During this state, your body is completely paralyzed. Your brainstem locks down your muscles so you cannot physically act out what you're experiencing. Modern science calls this a safety mechanism. But think about that for a moment. Spiritually, you are fully conscious in another world, yet fully restrained in this one. Doesn't that sound familiar? Scripture describes exactly this kind of divided experience. Paul spoke of being caught up into the third heaven, not knowing whether he was in the body or out of the body. Only God knew. There's a place where the natural senses go quiet, and something else entirely takes over. So why would God build this mechanism into every single human being on earth? Let's break this down into 3 biblical truths about why we dream. And once you see them, you will never look at your sleep the same way again. The first truth is this. Dreams are one of the ways God speaks when the noise of daily life has gone silent. Genesis chapter 28 tells the story of Jacob running from his brother, alone, afraid, sleeping on a rock in the wilderness with nothing but a stone for a pillow. And it was there, in that low, desperate moment, that heaven opened. He saw a ladder reaching up to the sky, angels ascending and descending, and God himself speaking a promise directly over his life. Jacob wasn't in the temple. He wasn't praying with his hands raised. He was unconscious, stripped of control, and that is exactly when God chose to speak. Sometimes the loudest moments of your waking life are actually the quietest moments for your spirit. And it's in the silence of sleep, when your defenses are down and your logic has stepped aside, that God can finally get a word in. The second truth is this. Dreams often reveal what your spirit already knows before your mind is ready to accept it. Look at Joseph, the dreamer of dreams in Genesis. As a young man, God showed him a picture of his future, his brothers bowing before him, years before any of it made earthly sense. At the time, it sounded arrogant. It sounded impossible. His own family mocked him for it. But that dream was a seed planted long before the harvest. Years later, after slavery, after prison, after betrayal, Every detail of that dream came true exactly as it was shown. Sometimes what you see in the night is not random. It is a preview, planted by God, waiting for your life to catch up to what your spirit already carries. The third truth is this: not every dream is loud, and not every dream needs a dramatic explanation to still hold meaning. 1 Kings tells us that God appeared to Solomon in a dream at night and simply asked him one question: "What do you want me to give you?" That's it. No ladder, no angels, no burning symbolism. Just a quiet, direct invitation to ask. And Solomon's answer, wisdom instead of riches, changed the entire trajectory of his life. Sometimes God isn't sending you a cryptic puzzle to decode. Sometimes he is simply asking what your heart truly wants, in the one place where you can't perform, can't pretend, and can't hide. If any part of your spirit is resonating with this right now, I want you to type this in the comments. God still speaks. Let that be your declaration today, not because every dream is a message from heaven, but because you serve a God who has never stopped communicating with his children in every form he chooses. Now here's where we have to be honest, because not everything you experience in sleep is divine, and Scripture never pretends otherwise. Ecclesiastes tells us plainly that in the multitude of dreams there are also many vanities. In other words, some dreams are simply your mind processing the day, sorting stress, replaying conversations, nothing more. And some are darker than that. Nightmares, torment, images that leave you shaken instead of comforted. The enemy understands the power of the mind just as well as God does, which is why Scripture never tells us to chase every dream like it's a prophecy. Discernment matters. Not every voice you hear at night is worth listening to, and not every image is worth carrying into your morning. So how do we walk through this wisely? First, don't build your entire life around a dream. Test it against Scripture, against wise counsel, against time itself. Anything true from God will never contradict his written word, and it will not need you to abandon peace to chase it. Second, if you're someone who struggles with nightmares, with restless nights, with a mind that won't settle, don't underestimate what Psalm 91 promises. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night. That is not just poetic language. That is a covering you are invited to actually stand on. Before you close your eyes, try praying this simple prayer tonight. Lord, guard my mind while I rest, and let only what is yours speak to me in the dark. That single sentence, prayed with sincerity, is a spiritual boundary most people never think to set. And here's something beautiful most people miss entirely. If God cared enough to build an entire nightly mechanism into the human body just to keep a channel of communication open, one that operates even when you're unconscious, even when you have no control, even when your guard is completely down, what does that tell you about how badly he wants to reach you? He didn't design this system as an accident with no purpose behind it. He wrote intention into your biology. Every single night, he gave you one more opportunity to hear from him, even in the hours when you're not trying, not performing, not striving for anything at all. Think about how many people go their entire lives dismissing their dreams as nothing, closing the door on a channel God built into them on purpose. Think about how many Jacobs are out there right now, running from something, exhausted, unaware that their lowest moment might be the exact place heaven chooses to meet them. That is the tragedy of ignoring what happens in the dark. Not every whisper gets a second chance to be heard. So tonight, when you lie down and feel your body finally go still, don't take that moment for granted. You are stepping into a space the world is still trying to explain with electrodes and brain scans, a space the Bible described long before any of that existed. It's the place where a fleeing man once saw a ladder to heaven. It's the place where a king was simply asked what his heart desired. It's the place where a dreamer received a promise he wouldn't understand for another 20 years. And it might be the place where God has been trying to reach you too. If this message stirred something in you tonight, I need you to do two things. First, subscribe to this channel, because somewhere out there is a person lying awake right now, afraid of what they saw in their sleep, and this truth might be exactly what brings them peace. Second, in the comments, declare this with me. I choose to trust that God is still speaking, even in the quiet, even in the dark, even when I have no control at all. He hasn't stopped reaching for you. Sometimes he's just waiting for the noise of your day to finally go quiet enough to hear him. I'll see you in the next message. Rest well and stay awake to what he might be saying.